The Bloodline isn't running WWE because Roman Reigns was champion for over 1,300 days. They're running WWE because they've become the most important story WWE has told in the modern era. While championships change hands and new stars rise and fall, the Bloodline continues to remain at the center of WWE programming, and there are several reasons why. The first reason is simple. The Bloodline succeeded where WWE had previously failed with Roman Reigns. For nearly 6 years, WWE tried to force Roman into the role of the company's top babyface. He was presented as the next John Cena, the hero who always overcame the odds. The problem was that fans never truly accepted that version of Roman. Audiences saw a dominant powerhouse being portrayed as an underdog, and the disconnect became impossible to ignore. Every major victory was met with backlash, and WWE found itself in a situation where its chosen top star was being booed by the very audience he was supposed to inspire. Everything changed in 2020. Roman returned with Paul Heyman by his side and embraced the tribal chief character. Suddenly, fans weren't being told who Roman was supposed to be. They were seeing a version of Roman that felt authentic. The arrogant leader, the manipulative family head, the man obsessed with power and respect. It was the perfect role for him, and it instantly transformed his career. More importantly, it laid the foundation for the Bloodline. What made the Bloodline different from every other faction was that it wasn't built around championships. It was built around relationships. The story wasn't about who could win a match. It was about loyalty, family, betrayal, power, and legacy. Fans became emotionally invested in Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and eventually The Rock, because every character had a purpose. Every decision carried consequences. Every segment felt like a new chapter in an ongoing television drama, rather than just another wrestling storyline. Now, compare that to Cody Rhodes' championship run. Cody remains one of WWE's biggest stars, but many fans feel that his reign has highlighted a major creative issue. The chase was incredible. Finishing the story was one of the biggest moments in recent WWE history, but once Cody actually won the championship, WWE struggled to evolve his character. Instead of becoming a different version of Cody, he continued following the same underdog formula that made him popular in the first place. The issue is that Cody is no longer chasing anything. He's the champion, yet many of his promos still revolve around overcoming obstacles, family legacy, and emotional speeches. For some fans, that formula has started to feel repetitive. The same criticism appears whenever Cody enters a major feud. The opponent gains momentum, the story becomes compelling, and then Cody overcomes the challenge. Whether it's Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, or Gunther, many viewers feel the overall structure remains the same. The Drew McIntyre situation is perhaps the best example. Drew was producing some of the most compelling character work of his entire career. His promos felt real, his motivations were understandable, and fans were becoming heavily invested in his journey. Yet when that momentum was halted, many viewers felt it happened simply to preserve Cody's championship trajectory. Similar criticism followed Cody's rivalries with Kevin Owens and Gunther. Different opponents, different stories, but the same end result. As a result, many fans now feel they know exactly how these feuds will end before they even begin. That's where the Bloodline has a massive advantage. The audience rarely knows what's coming next. One week, Jey Uso leaves the family. The next, Jimmy betrays his brother. Then Solo rises through the ranks. Then The Rock enters the picture. Every chapter creates new possibilities, and unpredictability is one of the most valuable things in professional wrestling. What's interesting is that WWE has already dealt with this exact problem before. Roman Reigns himself was stuck in a repetitive cycle for years. WWE refused to change him because he sold merchandise and remained one of the company's biggest stars. Eventually, however, they realized that popularity alone wasn't enough. The audience wanted character progression. Once Roman evolved, his career reached a completely different level. That's why many fans believe Cody Rhodes may eventually need a similar transformation. Not because he's failing, but because every premium live event featuring Roman becomes a major attraction. WWE WWE knows that opportunities like this don't come around often, so they're maximizing every possible moment while Roman remains at the peak of his powers. But even Roman's success is deeply connected to the Bloodline story itself. The truth is that the Bloodline is Roman Reigns' greatest strength. It's the storyline that elevated him from a top star into a generational attraction. The family dynamics, the power struggles, the betrayals, and the emotional investment have given Roman's character a depth that few wrestlers ever achieve. The Bloodline feels less like a wrestling faction and more like a long-running television series, which is exactly why fans continue tuning in year after year. And that's why many believe the story ultimately has only one true ending: Roman Reigns continuing his path of destruction, re-establishing himself as the dominant force within the family, and eventually colliding with The Rock. Not as hero versus villain, but as two powerful figures battling for control of the Anoa'i dynasty. The tribal chief versus the final boss. The man who built the empire against the man who believes he owns it. It's arguably the biggest match WWE can produce, and it has the potential to serve as the final chapter of a story that has defined an entire generation of wrestling. At the end of the day, the Bloodline runs WWE because it gives fans something that very few wrestling storylines ever achieve. It creates emotional investment, it creates unpredictability, it creates stars, and most importantly, it keeps people talking. Championships come and go, but stories like the Bloodline only come around once in a generation. That's why WWE keeps returning to it, and that's why years later, the Bloodline remains the true center of the WWE universe.